Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the very cold pattern we're going to find ourselves in for the rest of November and even in through the earlier portion of December, which we're going to take our first look at today. Anyway guys, before I get into this video, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you think we will end up being in a cooler pattern for the earlier portion of December, or do you think that's when we will finally warm up? Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's just get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look at around last night, and yesterday was very chilly. I was out and about last night, and it was very cold throughout the eastern portion of the United States. As you can see, blues, dark blues, which is going to put us around 5 to 10 degrees below normal. And if you go further inland towards the mountainous regions of the Carolinas or Virginia or West Virginia, you can see that we were in the greens, which is 10 to 15 degrees below normal, even colder over there. Now, as we move towards Monday afternoon, you can see we're going to be in a cool down for the entire eastern half of the country outside of New England, where typically they tend to be a little bit different than the regions that are also in the eastern United States. That area up there in New England just tends to be a little odd. It just protrudes a little bit further east than the rest of the East Coast, and I think that has a lot to do with it. But a little bit warmer up there, but outside of there, really cool in the eastern United States, especially those greens there centered over the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes, which again is about 10 to 15 degrees below normal. As you can see, we have overwhelmingly warm conditions for the western half of the country there. That is a positive PNA, not PDO, and that is what is basically allowing for this cool pattern to take place. It's what's been driving the pattern for about a month now, with cooler than normal conditions winning out for the eastern United States and warmer than normal conditions for the west really winning for the most part. Now, by the time it reached Tuesday, November 23rd, you can see those cooler than normal conditions really reach the East Coast, far below normal temperatures. You can see these bright greens, and this is where we are really far below normal, probably closer to those 15 degree below normal temperatures for the most part. So yeah, it's going to be very chilly here in the eastern United States around Tuesday afternoon, November 23rd, that is, especially there for the southeast coast, and then areas of the Appalachian Mountains, especially there in West Virginia, where we're going to be about 15 to 20 degrees below normal. Super, super interesting pattern we find ourselves in. And it gets even more interesting by the time I reach Wednesday, November 24th. This is going to be the afternoon hours. It's still very cool there for the eastern seaboard, but we do see a bit of a warm-up moving in through the central United States and even up in through the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes. This is where the above normal temperatures are really setting in. We can see below normal temperatures setting in for the west as well. And these areas are creating a negative PNA of sorts, and this is going to allow for some warmer air to briefly enter its way into the eastern United States. But it will be very brief, by the way, because by time we're reaching Thursday, this is going to be November 25th, you can see that warm conditions return to the west, and this is going to be what drives the cold to return very, very promptly. And as you can see in the central United States, it's already returned in a big way. And the east is a little bit warm by this point, but that isn't going to last long either. This is Thanksgiving Day, by the way. So it might be a little bit of a warm up there along the eastern seaboard. Central United States might be a little bit cooler. But by the time I reach Friday, 24 hours later, you can see that cool down fully moves into the eastern United States, taking over for the most part. Again, the greens return, which is far below normal temperatures. The west is still very warm, which is going to allow for this cool down to really stay in place for quite a while, more than a day, which it seems like that's how long the cool downs have been lasting. And by the time I reach Saturday, November 27th, you can see those cool conditions are still around for the eastern United States. And if anything, they built in a little bit better by this point, really, really, really solidifying and anchoring itself in. The west is really warm still by this point. And by the time I reach Sunday, November 28th, here, you can see cool in the east still. So this is going to be our first long-lived cool down, I guess, in the last little while. I feel like we have had a couple of very long-lived cool downs so far, but this is going to be the first one in a few weeks probably. The west is still very warm by this point, if not warmer than it was before, which is going to solidify the cold in the east for the most part. Now, by the time we reach Monday, November 29th, you can see that cooldown is even more potent by this point. Really sticking around. And the southeast, especially, it is below normal. The greens, like I said before, but those purples also are very far below normal temperatures, 15 to 30 degrees below normal for the most part in those purple shades. So that is going to be a significant departure from normal, first off for the Appalachian Mountains, but also for the coastal regions of South Carolina, Georgia, and then a lot of Florida as well. Now, this cooldown is generally trying to come to an end by the time we reach Tuesday, November 30th. This might be the beginning of the end of it. We can see the eastern seaboard is still below normal temperatures. But if you just go a little bit inland there, you could see at the Appalachian Mountains or west of the Appalachian Mountains, it's slightly above normal. So very close to normal overall for the eastern United States. There is that green area in the coastal regions, like I said, that is pretty far below normal still, but that is generally not too large in general. It's mostly just the coastal regions there of the eastern seaboard and especially the southeastern seaboard. The west is still very warm though, so we will be consistently in a positive PNA throughout this time frame, which is also very interesting. Now, here's the total snowfall through this point, and we're not expecting too much storminess, so that's why I think there's a pretty big lack of snowfall. We do have some of that for the interior and northeastern United States, which is interesting. But also the West, the Rockies, having a pretty marginal amount of snowfall for them this time of year. Generally 6 to 10 in the purples and 10 inches plus in the pinks. But that's pretty exclusive for some high elevation regions. Maybe one or two more minor snowstorms out there. If this was the east we're talking about, that would be a little bit more major. But for the west, in a 10-day period, that's not too much for this time of year. Now, to move further, we actually have to move on to our GFS model, so that's what we're going to do. 2 p.m. on Thursday, December 2nd, you can see colder than normal conditions for the Northeast, still warm out west here. By that point, December 3rd, this is going to be Friday afternoon time frame, and as you can see, again, colder than normal conditions there for the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic and a bit of the Southeast as well. Those warmer than normal conditions in the West are becoming more centered over the central United States, which is pretty interesting. We have seen this pattern before, and usually it leads towards a lot of the United States, if not almost all of the United States, being in above normal temperatures, and that's kind of what we're seeing begin here by this point here on. This is going to be December 4th here, Saturday. You can see it really taking over. We do still see some colder than normal conditions for the Mid-Atlantic, but that's going to be coming to an end too. Sunday, December 5th, you can see almost all of the United States in above normal temperatures. This is the very long range. And definitely by December 6th, this is going to be Monday afternoon. Pretty much from West Coast to East Coast, we have above normal temperatures with the exception of a little bit in New England and a little bit of the West Coast. But outside of that, it's mostly reds and oranges. This pattern might not take place. Sometimes the models like to generalize things in the very long range, but I would be curious to see if we could get into a pretty torchy pattern here sometime in the first half of December. That seems to be what this model's calling for. Anyway, for today's confidence tab, we're at a 4 out of 6. We talked about some shorter range and some longer range things, and that's why we end up at a pretty middle ground confidence for today. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, do you think this winter is going to be one that ends pretty late or pretty early? Is this one going to extend into the spring? And James Marr said, I think it could linger into the early spring months, but it's way too early to tell. And that's definitely a good statement there. It is pretty early to tell. But the one thing is these models are trending at a colder late winter, so things being the coldest around February, and I think that leans towards us seeing an extension of winter into March and maybe April when we see that colder later half to the winter. That's just my opinion, though. It's really a toss-up. For today's patron highlighted today, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons. Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovin Nagel, Little the Pan, Mandy Birchfield, and Patrick Strickland as well. I'd also like to thank our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalesa, Kappa, Charles Stinnett, Cindy Klein, Alan Goodmaben, Bill Dallas, Gary, John Khaleesi, Dwight Phelan, Stephen Crenenthal, and Thomas D. Bart as well. I'd also like to thank our channel members, Capite, Stephen Fan, and Jeremy Cox also. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I will see you guys in the next video.